Thank you for joining me. Welcome back. My name is Shone, and you're here with me, Shone's After Hours. Yeah, I forgot the thoughts part of it again. Shone's Thoughts After Hours. But as I said before, I like the idea of Shone's After Hours. It has a very interesting feeling about it. Well, anyways, welcome back. Yeah, apparently I don't have my tripod with me, so what you're viewing right now is just a street lamp. I don't know. We'll see what appears in there, should there be anything that appears in there while I talk. But yet, I'm back to having a lot of thoughts, and tonight I kind of wanted to start with talking about an important word, I think, that is very fundamental when it comes to our ability to change. And as Kevin taught me in the Teachability Index, that part of growth is being in the zone to be able to change. And sometimes changes aren't simply about just either on or off. Sometimes those changes are about flexibility. And flexibility, I think, is a very, very important discussion topic that I've been experiencing recently. Realizing that essentially everything that we go through has a degree of separation, meaning that there are stages that one must go through. And the ability to go through those stages and those changes is essentially largely to do with our flexibility, being able to embrace, and how quickly the rate of receiving that change, accepting that change and such. And so, I started scratching my head, and for some reason I was forgetting where I was going. Maybe that's the end of that part. However, I guess if we just segue back into flexibility overall, for me, this has been a great example of my own journey. If I look back over the last few years I've had, I can see how my ability to accept change and to be flexible with what things were happening in my life, and kind of just trusting my intuition and realizing that there wasn't as much as I would prefer to have done, although I did so much to essentially move forward with life. A lot of times I found myself even participating in that world, and yet finding ways that I could sustain myself within that world, abiding by that world's rules. But yet after a moment in time, after kind of going through my own experience, and it is essentially my own experience, I came to the idea that something didn't make sense about how our world was. And this led me into spending and investing so much of my attention into looking into perhaps what maybe were the more truthful reasons of things that were happening. Trying to essentially discover what could be the truth if everything that I was aware wasn't the truth. And so that led me on a journey, and the more I learnt or became aware of the possibility, not always just quickly adapting to this is how it is, more so just investigating what the possibilities could be. And even recently, I have becoming more flexible by realizing that even how I say and relate these ideas and thoughts that I'm aware of with everyone else, there isn't necessarily a this is how it is. It's more of this is what I'm exploring. And even that was part of flexibility. See, flexibility is the ability to adapt in a changing situation. And I guess if we get into the topic of living in the now, or even more so, a nomadic life would be always having the ability to adapt. It's kind of a very similar to this concept that I've been learning about called van life, and it being a YouTube sensation where people lived in vans and filmed themselves living in vans and going through different situations, kind of almost like a reality TV show that was self-produced by several different people, including one man named Chrome. I haven't personally watched too much of his stuff yet. I understand he's played a pivotal role in this type of changing landscape of how we live our lives. Like, in a sense, leading people to live life differently, even if that life, that living life differently, doesn't necessarily perhaps have to be sustained all the time. Maybe that is the open to flexibility, recognizing that at certain times one version of life is lived and at certain other times another version of life is lived, but yet we have the flexibility to go back and forth between the two. Maybe doing that without worrying so much about when's it going to happen. And then that leads into my own flexibility over the last few days. I guess that's where all this thought of flexibility truly came into from thought to form. It's because over the last few days, it's been a very energetic experience in life. And if we look at perhaps what's going out in the real world, and when I mean real world, I mean out in outer space, is perhaps the energy is so vibrant right now. And so everyone's maybe experiencing their own version of the energy, of the incoming energy. And as for mine, it's been very lively amount of incoming energy for me to deal with, transmute, and work with, and, experience it in my reality, I guess. But honestly, I feel that I've done an amazing job with the energies and the experiences that have come in, doing my best to essentially experience it. I don't know, it's really hard to say other ways than that, but yeah, I sometimes think that the experiences we experience, we in part play a role of bringing them in. But anyways, that's going to go further past this whole talk of flexibility. So I hope that you've achieved or received something from this. I'm on a mission to be more adaptive, more flexible as well. So I'm going to start trying to make perhaps shorter content. Maybe that is like an excellent idea when it comes to the length of some of my videos. So expect a lot more shorter content, and maybe I won't exactly worry where the camera's facing too. Who knows? Maybe I will continue. This could be an amazing frame. Who knows? Maybe I can do something creative with it. There's always a possibility. A little bit of grass up in the forefront there and light shining far in the back. Who knows? Some filters or whatever. Let's see. Have a great night. Thank you so much for sharing your attention with me. And feel free to click on one of the videos at the end here, or just let me know something about what you want from your preferred experience in the comments. Have a great night.